my name is Ghost Eliason from MJC's revised camera production class. I'm sitting here with Mrs. Mary Elizabeth Boutté, an MJC alumni from the 1970s. Can you please tell us what things were like when you attended MJC?
Well, it certainly wasn't a gorgeous studio like this, but it was a studio all the same, and I have to tell you, it was one of the best experiences of my life. I never really liked school, but I loved coming here to MJC. And all my brothers came here too, and I have a legacy here, and I just love it. I love the fact that you're bringing it back.
So am I. So you said that your brothers also went here. Were you all going here at the same time?
No, but there's a 3-4 year span between us. My oldest brother was about 13 years older than me. He was into Reader's Theater, and I'm pretty sure he wanted to be a lawyer. Another brother was an engineering major, eventually going to Fresno State, and he ended up working with NASA scientist a little bit with an NDA, so I didn't find out until he retired that he even, it was so bizarre. The things you find out about your own family. I mean, one of my brothers was here today, earlier, to find out what I did for a living in Hollywood. And I'm like, okay, this is the place to learn. And another brother, he ended up being a race car driver, but he got his start here as well.
So you have everything from rocket scientists to race car drivers in your family.
Well, I should say he worked with rocket scientists, telling them about their telecom equipment, though he wasn't actually a rocket scientist himself.
Okay. Would you like to tell us what your major or focus was while you were taking class years and what your career goal was at the time?
I just knew I needed to be in television, and as a child, I think I was kind of literal about that, like I really wanted to get inside the television, and eventually I did, with all those tubes and things that they used to have. And I was there during black and white TV, and I really did want to cut tape, and I did cut tape, whether it be audio or video back in the day, whether it be here at MJC or at KGSC, the Perfect 36 in San Jose, or I don't think I had to cut too much tape once I got to Hollywood, because by that time it was the bleeding edge of digital.
So you said you were also here when it was black and white. Mm-hmm. So what would be the biggest differences, both behind the scene and on camera, for black and white to color?
That is a really good question that I am not prepared to answer, because I was just learning at the time, and even though I was working at the college, it doesn't necessarily mean I knew what I was doing.
Fair enough.
I just did what I was told, whether it be editing, duplication, transporting this, that, and the other thing. One of the best things I learned from all of that production experience, believe it or not, is how to be a professional when answering the phone. And that saved me for years, whether it be in Hollywood or any professional job I had, just knowing how to answer the phone. And believe it or not, it's a lost art, and maybe we should bring that back too,
Could you tell me a little bit about that? What do you mean specifically by how to answer the phone?
Addressing an individual in a professional way. Hi, my name is, or hi, this is Acme Leather. How may I help you today? And I don't know, I don't think we always get that professionalism anymore on the phone, and a lot of other places too, but I digress. So I learned that. I learned all about jazz by doing duplication here, the history of jazz. I was telling Jay earlier, I can remember those huge cameras that we had, and we would take them outside and do outside shoots. It was crazy. And what were we thinking? But again, I didn't know not to, so I did. I don't know if anyone here has ever heard of Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman. That was something else that I worked on here, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. But maybe it was just an editing experience with fun footage of Louise Lasser, I think her name was. An excellent TV show, wasn't it? Yeah. And you're looking at me like, I don't know what you're talking about. Not you, her.
So coming back to MJC, what was your schedule like as a student?
Wow. Now, we are talking 1976. I believe I had a full load of maybe sometimes 20, 30 units and worked two part-time jobs, one of which was selling fine jewelry. Yeah, so I mean, I just did what I had to do, didn't sleep too much. I can remember almost falling asleep during tennis, and I was standing up. But you do what you got to do. I mean, that's why I say youth is not wasted on the young. I mean, I did what I had to do, and I stayed awake sometimes doing it.
So you had 2 part-time jobs, and you were doing a lot of units. How did you balance your work in school and life?
I didn't. No, I totally didn't. I totally messed it all up. And I think that's why my neck got so stiff, I got put on disability, which was fine because I just went back east for the bicentennial, and it was lovely. Right. Spending the summer at New Hampshire and going to Kennebunkport, and just had a lovely time of it, indeed.
So do you have any advice then for students who are going through courses on how to better balance things?
Definitely try to save some money ahead of time before taking on a load of units. Try to live at home. Try to be nice to your parents. It'll come in handy, trust me. I mean, it got one day, it was so bad, my mother came to help me clean the apartment because I just couldn't move. And fortunately, she was there to help me out. But again, you know, we have to do what we have to do at the time. And I needed those units. And it launched my career, such as it was at the time. MJC. People were coming from Southern California to go to MJC in the 70s. That's how great a program it was and will be again. And I'm just so happy and thrilled and relieved that this is happening. And I'm here right now talking about it.
And we're really happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So speaking of this program, what classes did you have, and is there any that you want to see brought back to MJC?
I just loved all things production and all things, well, whether it be television or radio. I just loved production, and I used every inch of the knowledge that I gained here. And I just know that you all will do it too, because creatives have to create. It's in us, and it's got to come out. And if it doesn't, it can make you sick. So don't leave anything on the table. Leave it all out on the floor, and do what you got to do, really. But at the same time, have some common sense. Get some sleep. Take your vitamins. You know, exercise. It's all important because this is the one body that we have. And if you're going to have a 30-year career holding a boom, that will wear on your body. I'm just saying. Yeah. So be aware. Yeah. And a Steadicam, you know that's 60 pounds, right? Yeah. Save yourselves.
So from the classes you did take, were there any projects that you did?
I was working with a woman that was a security guard, maybe even at Montgomery Wards where I work. But anyway, we got together and shot a documentary about horse racing, or horse betting, I should say. So we took that 1/4-inch tape, or was it 1/2 inch, reel to reel, took it to Golden Gate, and I just learned so much about horse betting, and even how to flip those tickets while walking, because that's what they would do. They would flip the tickets to see if there was a winner down there without having to pick them up. Yeah, there's little things like that that those people that are addicted do when they're into horse betting and horse racing. Very cool. Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any fun stories from your time here at MJC?
Well,
I like that answer already.
there was an instance where my fiance was waiting for me, and he was talking to one of my co-students on some project or another, and the guy says, "What do you think about that?" referring to me. And he said a few other things, and finally my fiance just said, "I like it, and I'm engaged to it." Should I not have said that? Is that inappropriate? I don't know, you know. You get to be a certain age, and it's like, whatever.
So, do you have any advice for current students?
After that, you want me to give advice for parents?
We'd love your advice.
Don't do drugs. Eat healthy. Work out. Mind your business. Really. You're going to learn so much more if you just keep quiet. You really will. Especially on what not to do. Whether it be on set here, there, or anywhere. This is not a straight line. Your career will have dips and dives and turns. Be ready to pivot at any given time. Last week, I just got back from shooting a movie, and this week, and it was, some of the scenes were out of college, and this week I'm out of college speaking. And that's just another surreal, strange, unusual thing. But it did just happen, and I just showed up. I showed up for that movie, and I've never had that many lines in my life, and I haven't spoken in years. And I figured, well, I do have something to say, and y'all want to listen? Right on, cool.
So, how did you go from being a student to starting to work in the industry? What was your steps to starting your work?
I just needed a job. My fiance and I broke up. He cheated. Nice guy, though. We're still friends, hey. So I needed a job, and I just needed a new existence. And San Jose wasn't too far and not too close. So I literally walked into a television station and said, I need a job, and if you don't have a job, we'll take an internship. And they gave me an internship, and 90 days later, I had a job, and I did just about everything at KGSC except for physically play TD. But as far as trafficking the commercials, being talent, running the camera, you name it, everything that I learned here, I did like 2 years later in San Jose. And between the two, that was my sounding board to jump down there. And it took a minute to get into the swing, but I found my niche there. And everyone else can do it too, because well, we're all special. But we all have to do the work and pay the dues and, blah, blah, blah. It's all true. So we can't get the big head as soon as we go down there, think we're all of that. We can't. And you might have to put labels on something still, like I don't know what they label nowadays, but you'll have to put labels on something. You will have to schlep something. And that's okay. Schlepping is fun. You meet people schlepping. And give yourself 3 years, whatever you do.
3 years?
I say 3 because that's a good number for me. I don't think 2 years is long enough to give anything. And therefore, if you could save that much money, sweet. But definitely have a side gig or 3 or 4, something besides your dream.
So you mentioned that it'd be good to have 1, 2, 3, 4 even side gigs going on at the same time as having an internship. Could you tell us what you were doing at the time of your internship?
At the time of my internship, I was just trying to figure out how to live in the city in San Jose and do the internship. So I ended up finding a job as a waitress. And some people might even have gone to the Laundry Works in San Jose before. A really cool Mexican restaurant owned by a Chinese guy. And they had the best food. They had a small chain in the area. And it was, again, one of the best experiences of my life. Some of those people I'm still friends with. So, and I even say that to say, you don't know who you know, and you just don't know when they'll come in handy for you, you'll come in handy for them. So keep everybody close if you can. Obviously not the ne'er-do-wells, but these people, they have, they're part of my life tapestry, and that's actually a line from the movie that I was just in. But it is so true. All these different people. One of the guys that I met here at the junior college, Adrian Mendoza, quintessential photographer, he ended up doing my headshots, for instance, when I first got into acting. You just never know who and when your friends are going to come in handy. He also put me on the sports page of the Modesto Bee as the voice of the Modesto Nuts in 2007. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how did you balance your work, internship, and everyday life?
I didn't. I screwed up right and left. I mean, I didn't eat properly, and that's why I stress it right now. I didn't start eating properly until I was like 26 years old and saw that first gray hair. And I started preaching to every kid I saw. It's like, look, you better take care of yourself because this is coming for you too. They looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, you'll see, you'll figure it out. So I am here to let you know that you can do whatever you want in the industry. I've had so many jobs that may have only lasted a second when I was walking down the hall and said, hey, we need you to scream, or we need you to show us where an edit is. And I'm not an editor, but I do know how to edit music. So it was pretty amazing to have my friends say, come in here and show me where to put this edit. I'm like, right now. Well, here, no. Here, no. It was awesome and frightening at the same time. But you have to do everything afraid, because this is not brain surgery. No one will die, hopefully. And we all get up and do it again the next day. Just make sure you always have a change of clothes in the car, because you never know when you're going home. You really don't. And that's part of the beauty. I mean, granted I was stupid, I would house sit for a friend of mine in Venice Beach. And I would not get off work until 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and that dog would still have to be walked. So I would put on his trench coat and his fedora, and I'd bring that huge dog out at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be walking all, like I was a dude. And no one ever bothered me. But these are the little things in life. And then I'd have to, 2 hours later, go back to work, because that's just the way it was. Yeah. But that's okay, I was young. And I'd do it again. Not tomorrow.
So how would you know what projects to accept and which ones to turn down?
When you're working for a company, they actually pick the projects for you. And in my case, I would just run them or schedule the equipment and schedule the employees and make sure sometimes equipment would fail us, and we'd have to get it however we could, including calling up another facility, like, hey, you have a D1 machine we could borrow? Or can we just come over and use your telecine? And it was just one big happy family, so that's what we would do to get the job done, because again, it's just one big happy dysfunctional family. Yeah.
Would you be willing to talk to us about what your lowest point was and how you bounced back from it?
Yeah, my lowest point was when my, I'll say my boss and I tried to tell the company that we shouldn't move to this 50,000 foot facility. And they did it anyway, and then they proceeded to lay us all off, and the company is no more. That particular company did CGI worldwide. And fortunately, that's something you can do in your house too now. So they did carry on. But that was very low to be out of work, and at the same time, it was one of the best times because I still had my friends, I still had my church, I still had so much, and I just kept going and appreciated what I did have and what I could do. And eventually, the call came to run another post house, and that was pretty phenomenal. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing all of that.
Sure, absolutely.
Could you give us a quick overview of all of the different roles that you have had in the industry?
Okay, let me think. It probably started in 4th grade at Merkane and Stevenson, where I was AV, and then it progressed from there. I would make mixtapes for myself or my friends. Like I said, back in the day when they used to cut tape. Then, of course, I came to JC because I just loved technology. Then I went to San Jose to KGSC. Eventually, I got to Southern California, and this was like maybe 5 years after San Jose. I went down there and started putting labels on tapes and running camera at the church. They also helped me get my first job, which was working for Jensen Transformers, and I should also say Bauer Audio. They did audio file duplication, mostly of choirs, but other stuff too. Jensen Transformers, they made transformers for Bose audio. So I got to flux. I did a lot of fluxing. Anybody remember fluxing? Yeah, that sounds good. So I did that. I did duplication of beta and VHS and 1-inch tape, 2-inch tape, you name it. That led to satellite uplink, where one time it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm waiting for a show to go to black and I'm ready to take it. And my finger just jumped out and took black for me. And I was like, what are you doing? And then, I panicked for a while and nothing happened. I never got in trouble. I was like, well, dodge that bullet. So then I started cutting laser disc and being a liaison for shows for MGM. Eventually, I became a supervisor of a post house and then the director of operations. And I continued with that, became an in-house producer for special effects. And all the while, I was also doing whatever. Like I can remember doing a jingle, for instance, for some radio station that one of my coworkers got for me. I helped to produce a music video that George Michael was executive producer of, and Sheila E. was on it, and a whole lot of session musicians, Smokey Robinson, also session singers. So all of this stuff happened because I took a chance and went down there just to see what was up.
That is awesome.
It really is.
So we have one last question, which is just, what's next? What are your goals now that you've made it this far?
Maybe I was confused as a child when I thought I wanted to be in the television, and maybe I wanted to be an actor. I don't know, because I just loved that equipment. My dad had a Super 8 and a projector. My brother had that reel to reel. That it fascinated me. But now it's acting, and back in 2020, I was rehabilitating from an illness, and my friend from elementary school called and said, "Hey, I'm getting back into modeling. I think you should too." And I said, "Okay." Now, we didn't know that we had to act. Yeah, and I think it took me about a year to figure that out. So I'm glad I'm figuring it out, because I did my first feature, and I'm very excited about that. And they said I did good, so maybe I'll get some more. I did a gig for NFL Shop recently, and I got to wear some 49er garb, and that was really cool because one of my brothers tried out back in the day. The one that's a race car driver, he did that. So the acting, yeah, acting is it now. And the reason why acting now, I'm 68 years old. What else am I going to do? So here I am. I can just go ahead and act cute, act silly, act mad, and just be myself. And that, for you actors out there, be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else, because you are the best you, and no one has seen that before. You might put a little flavor on it. My acting coach said, put some Jana on it. That's her name. Like, oh, I can do that. And I was like a dog on a bone. She not literally, but she beat that performance out of me until I could beat it out of myself. And we were both thrilled, because she said, "I saw it when it clicked." Are you sure that wasn't my neck? But that's another story. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Boutté, for taking your time to come speak with us.
A privilege.
I am Ghost Eliason from MJC's new and revived camera production class. Thank you for tuning in.